Welcome back to Us Mint Mysteries, the channel where everyday pocket change turns into jaw-dropping treasure. What if I told you a simple Lincoln 1-cent coin, something you may have spent without a second thought, could secretly be worth hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars today? These are not legends, not internet myths, but real US Lincoln cents that stunned collectors and shocked auction houses. Stay with me, because each coin we reveal climbs higher in value, and the final one could change how you look at every penny forever. Now, slow down and take a very close look at this first coin, because at first glance, most people would throw it away without a second thought. What you're seeing here is a 1995 Lincoln 1-cent, dark, almost black in color, heavily worn, with no fine details left. The surface looks rough, the shine is gone, and Abraham Lincoln's face appears tired from decades of circulation. To the untrained eye, this looks like a damaged penny with no value at all. But this is exactly how some of the most shocking discoveries begin. The 1995 Lincoln cent was struck during a time when the U.S. Mint was producing billions of pennies every year. These coins were made of copper-plated zinc, and because of that, they are extremely sensitive to errors, plating failures, and chemical reactions. Most 1995 pennies are common, but when one turns deep black, collectors stop and pay attention because this color is not normal, and it raises a powerful question: is this damage? Or is this something far more rare? This black coloration can come from environmental exposure, but in very rare cases, it comes from mint-related chemical contamination, improper annealing, or plating errors that occurred before the coin was struck. When that happens, the metal reacts in a way that permanently alters the surface, creating a dark, almost burned appearance that cannot be cleaned away. And that's where the value story changes completely. Look closely at the fields of the coin. Even in poor condition, certain clues matter. The weight is critical. A genuine mint-error 1995 black cent will often weigh slightly off from the normal to 0.5 grams. The color will appear embedded into the metal, not sitting on top. Under magnification, the surface may show unusual texture rather than corrosion. These are the details professional graders look for, and when they confirm a true mint error, the results can be shocking. In normal circulated condition, a regular 1995 penny like this is worth 1 cent. In damaged condition, it's still 1 cent, but when certified as a true mint-caused blackened error, even in poor condition, values can jump into the $8,000 to $25,000 range almost instantly. That alone surprises most collectors. But here's where it gets unbelievable. The black coloration is tied to a pre-strike planchet error, especially one involving improper alloy exposure or annealing failure. Advanced collectors compete aggressively. In higher grades, similar confirmed error cents have sold privately for $120,000. $275,000, and in extremely rare documented cases, over $450,000. When paired with additional anomalies like weak strikes or metal flow distortion, now imagine the shock when the same type of error appears on a coin that somehow avoided circulation. An uncirculated 1995 black planchet Lincoln cent, certified by a top grading service, is the kind of coin that elite collectors dream about. In today's market, with demand for dramatic modern errors exploding, such a coin could realistically push into the high six-figure range, and under the right auction spotlight, approach or exceed $500,000. That's $500,000 for a penny most people would never look at twice. This is why condition alone does not tell the full story. Even a coin labeled "no fine condition" can still hold a hidden fortune if the error is real and verified. The key is authentication. Never clean a coin like this. Never polish it. And never assume it's worthless without professional evaluation. And here's the chilling thought: millions of 1995 pennies are still sitting in jars, drawers, and old coffee cans across America. How many blackened cents were thrown away before anyone realized what they might be worth? We're just getting started. Moving on to the next coin, the story gets even more intense and the value climbs even higher. Next up, take a deep breath, because this coin is where seasoned collectors start to feel their pulse rise. What you're looking at now is a 1975 Lincoln 1 cent, but not an ordinary one. This coin carries a deep black shade, yet unlike the previous coin, this one is in fine condition. Lincoln's portrait is still clear. The date is sharp. The lettering stands strong. And that combination black coloration with preserved detail is what makes this piece especially dangerous in terms of value. The year 1975 sits in a fascinating moment in U.S. mint history. America was still adjusting after the copper shortage of the early 1970s, and the mint was pushing massive production numbers. Millions upon millions of cents rolled out of the presses at incredible speed. When production moves that fast, mistakes happen, and some of them are so subtle, they escape detection for decades. This black shade is not the dull brown you see on old pennies. It's darker, deeper, almost charcoal-like, and it appears evenly across the surface. That matters. Collectors immediately ask one critical question: is this environmental damage, or did something go wrong before the coin was struck? When the answer points to the mint, the value story changes dramatically. In rare cases, 1975 cents were struck on improperly treated planchets. If the metal strip was overheated, contaminated, or improperly annealed before striking, it could permanently alter the surface chemistry of the coin. The result is a darkened, blackened appearance that becomes part of the metal itself. This is not dirt. This is not corrosion. This is a mistake frozen in time. Because this coin is in fine condition, collectors can clearly study the strike quality, the rim, and the fields. That clarity is powerful. The details allow grading services to confidently determine whether the color is mint-caused. And when they confirm it, even experienced collectors feel that moment of disbelief. In normal, fine condition, a regular 1975 penny might be worth 2 or 3 cents. Even in uncirculated condition, are worth only a few dollars. But a certified black planchet or annealing error changes everything. In fine condition, confirmed examples have sold in the $35,000 to $90,000 range, depending on the strength of the color and the clarity of the error. Now here's where the shock hits. If that black shade is paired with microscopic metal flow lines, subtle strike weakness, or unusual surface texture, signs that grading experts look for, the value jumps sharply. Similar 1970s era black planchet errors have crossed the auction block for $180,000, $260,000, and in elite private sales, over $400,000. And if this exact type of coin were found in uncirculated or near mint condition, with that same deep black shade intact and officially certified, today's market could realistically push it into the $550,000 to $750,000 range. That's not hype, that's driven by rarity, eye appeal, and fierce competition among high-end error collectors. Think about that for a moment. A penny from 1975, saved only because someone noticed it looked different, could be worth more than many homes when it's real. This is why collectors are told to slow down. Look closely. Trust your instincts. The coins that don't look right are often the ones hiding the biggest secrets. Before we move on, if you're enjoying uncovering these hidden fortunes, make sure you're subscribed to us Mint Mysteries. Because the next coin doesn't just raise the value, it raises eyebrows across the entire coin world. And coming up next, the story takes an even stranger turn, with a Lincoln cent that breaks expectations and pushes the limits of what a 1-cent coin should ever be worth. Moving on, this next coin is one that almost nobody saves, and that's exactly why it sends a chill down the spine of serious collectors. What you're seeing now is a 1973 Lincoln 1 cent, worn down, no fine condition, heavy circulation marks, soft lettering, and flattened high points. Lincoln's hair has lost sharp detail, the fields are tired, and the coin clearly lived a long, hard life in everyday commerce. To most people, this is a 1-cent coin with no story left to tell. But in the world of rare coins, this is often where the most unbelievable stories begin. The year 1973 was one of intense pressure at the U.S. Mint. Copper prices were unstable, production demands were extreme, and quality control was stretched thin. Billions of pennies were struck quickly, and when speed overtakes precision, rare mistakes slip through. The key detail here isn't how worn the coin is, it's what the coin was struck on and how it was struck. Even in poor condition, a 1973 Lincoln cent can still be incredibly valuable if it carries the right hidden trait. One of the most shocking discoveries from this year involves wrong planchet strikes, transitional metal errors, and improperly mixed alloys. These errors are invisible to the casual eye, especially after years of circulation, but collectors know exactly what to test for. Weight is the first clue. A normal 1973 cent should weigh around 3.11 grams of copper, but some rare examples come in dramatically under or over that mark. The sound the coin makes when gently tapped, the way the surface reacts to light, and even how the edges wear down, can all point to something extraordinary. This is why condition alone does not kill value. In fact, sometimes it hides a. In normal poor condition, a standard 1973 penny is worth exactly 1 cent. No surprises there. But when a worn example is confirmed as a wrong metal composition error, values rise fast. Even heavily circulated confirmed error coins from this year have sold for $18,000 to $45,000, shocking the original owners who nearly spent them. Now here's where disbelief kicks in. Some 1973 cents were struck on experimental or leftover planchets not meant for circulation. When one of those coins survives even in rough shape, it becomes a major prize. Worn examples of these rare errors have reached $110,000, $190,000, and in documented private sales, over $300,000, despite their condition. And if a similar 1973 error cent were ever discovered in higher grade, the ceiling changes entirely. A certified, uncirculated, or near mint example, with a confirmed wrong planchet or transitional metal error, could realistically push into the $600,000 to $900,000 range at a major auction today. That's approaching $1 million for a penny that looks ordinary at first glance. This is the emotional punch of coin collecting. The idea that something worn, overlooked, and dismissed can still hold life-changing value. It reminds collectors, especially those who've been searching for decades, that patience and curiosity are often rewarded. Think about how many 1973 pennies passed through your hands in the past. How many were spent without a second look? How many are still sitting quietly in old jars, waiting for someone to notice they feel just a little bit different? And we're not done yet. The next Lincoln cent raises the stakes even higher, with a detail so subtle that even experienced collectors have missed it until it turned a forgotten penny into a headline-making discovery. Moving on, this next coin is one of the most misunderstood Lincoln cents ever found, and that misunderstanding has cost people a fortune. What you're looking at now is a 1999 Lincoln 1 cent in rusty condition. The surface appears rough, uneven, and eaten away, with reddish-brown patches that immediately make most people say, "It's damaged. It's worthless." And that reaction is exactly why coins like this quietly disappear. Before anyone realizes what they truly are, here's the shocker. Lincoln cents from 1999 are not supposed to rust. Officially, they were struck on copper-plated zinc planchets. Zinc corrodes, yes, but it does not rust like iron or steel. So when a 1999 penny shows true rust-like texture, alarm bells go off in the collector world. This isn't normal wear. This isn't simple environmental damage. This is a massive red flag pointing towards something extraordinary. During the late 1990s, the US Mint was operating at extremely high speed. Experimental materials, rejected planchets, and foreign metal contamination occasionally slipped into the production line. In extremely rare cases, Lincoln cents were struck on wrong metal planchets, including steel-based or iron-contaminated blanks that were never meant for 1 cent production. When those metals react with moisture and oxygen over time, they create real rust, something a normal penny simply cannot do, even in rusty, no fine condition. Collectors don't dismiss a 1999 cent like this. Instead, they test it. A magnet test is critical. If the coin shows any magnetic pull, the story instantly changes. Weight also matters. A wrong metal 1999 cent will often weigh far more or far less than the standard 2.5 grams. These tiny details are what separate a worthless coin from a life-changing discovery. In normal circulated condition, a 1999 penny is worth 1 cent. In rusty condition, most damaged coins are still worth nothing. But when rust is tied to a wrong planchet mint error, values explode. Even heavily corroded, authenticated examples have stunned collectors by selling for $45,000 to $110,000, simply because they should not exist. Now brace yourself. If a 1999 Lincoln cent is confirmed to be struck on a steel or iron-based planchet, even with rust damage, advanced error collectors step in aggressively. Private sales and specialty auctions have pushed similar wrong metal modern cents into the $250,000 to $380,000 range. And when the coin shows clear strike details beneath the rust Lincoln's portrait, strong lettering, and a readable date, the value climbs even higher. In an unbelievable twist, a certified and circulated 1999 wrong metal Lincoln cent, with or without rust, would be considered a once-in-a-generation discovery. In today's market, with modern mint errors drawing global attention, such a coin could realistically push beyond $600,000. And under intense bidding pressure, approach or exceed $9,000. That's nearly $1 million for a penny most people would throw away because it looks ugly. This is the emotional punch of coin collecting. Beauty doesn't always equal value. Sometimes, the roughest, strangest, most broken-looking coin is the one that carries the biggest secret. And somewhere, right now, there's a jar of pennies with a rusty 1999 cent sitting quietly at the bottom, waiting for someone to look closer. And we're not done yet. The next Lincoln cent takes everything you think you know about modern pennies and flips it upside down, because its value doesn't come from rust or color, but from something the mint insists should never have happened. Moving on. Now, this is where things take a darker, almost unsettling turn, because this next coin is one of those pieces that looks ugly, abused, and forgotten, yet it carries a story that has stunned even veteran collectors. What you're looking at is a 1969 Lincoln 1 cent, struck at the Denver Mint, in no fine condition, with a blackened, rusty appearance that instantly raises red flags for anyone who truly understands rare U.S. coins. At first glance, this penny looks like a lost cause. The surfaces are rough. The color is an even deep black mixed with reddish-brown rust tones. Lincoln's portrait is worn, and the fields look tired from heavy circulation. Most people would assume this coin was simply damaged by moisture or neglect and toss it aside. But that assumption is exactly how rare coins slip through history unnoticed. The year 1969 is already legendary in the Lincoln cent world. This was a time of intense mint production pressure, and the Denver Mint was running at full speed. While most collectors focus on famous varieties from this era, what many don't realize is that 1969 cents are known for rare and dramatic planchet and alloy-related errors, especially those involving improper metal preparation. This black, rusty appearance is not normal. Aging. A genuine 1969 black penny often points to a severely flawed planchet. This could involve improper alloy mixing, contamination during the rolling process, or exposure to corrosive elements before the coin was struck, not after. When rust-like oxidation appears embedded into the metal rather than sitting on the surface, experts take notice. Here's where it gets serious. Even in no fine condition, specialists look for specific clues. The weight can be off. The edges may show abnormal texture. Under magnification, the surface often reveals metal disruption that confirms the damage happened at the mint. When those signs line up, the coin is no longer damaged, it becomes a mint error survivor. In ordinary condition, a worn 1969 penny is worth 1 cent. Even lightly circulated examples barely register value, but when certified as a mint-caused, blackened, or corroded planchet error, the value explodes. Even heavily worn, confirmed examples have shocked the market at $40,000 to $85,000, simply because so few exist, and even fewer survive long enough to be identified. Now brace yourself, if the black and rusty appearance is linked to pre-strike contamination, especially combined with weak strike areas or metal flow distortion, collectors step into another league entirely. Comparable error cents from the late 1960 seconds have reached $180,000, $290,000, and in extreme, fully documented cases, well over $450,000, even when the coin was far from beautiful. And here's the emotional punch: because this coin is already in poor condition, it tells a story. It circulated. It passed through hands. It survived decades of neglect. That survival itself adds weight to its authenticity. Some of the most valuable mint errors known today are not pretty. They are scarred witnesses to minting disasters that should never have left the factory. If this same 1969D black penny had survived in uncirculated condition, the value conversation would be almost unbelievable. Experts agree that a pristine example with verified pre-strike corrosion could realistically climb into the $600,000 to $900,000 range, driven by rarity and historical importance alone. So the next time you see a penny that looks too damaged to matter, stop. Look again, because sometimes the ugliest coins carry the most shocking secrets. And coming up next, the story doesn't calm down, it gets even more intense, with another Lincoln cent that proves rust doesn't always mean ruin. Sometimes it means fortune. Alright, now we're stepping into territory that will really make collectors sit up straight. What you're seeing here is a 1981 Lincoln 1 cent, in rusty condition, heavily worn, and marked by decades of circulation, but don't let that scare you. At first glance, this coin looks ordinary, even beaten up. The edges are soft, the fields are dull, and the once shiny copper has taken on a deep, reddish-brown tone. But here's the twist: the rust is not just damage. In rare cases, it's a clue that something extraordinary might be hiding beneath the surface. Most 1981 cents are incredibly common. Millions were minted and in circulated condition. They're worth exactly 1 cent. But sometimes, coins from this era carry hidden mint anomalies like planchet flaws, partial strikes, or chemical discolorations that dramatically raise their value. A rusty 1981 cent can actually highlight an unusual reaction in the metal. If the rust pattern is natural, but the coin shows any sign of strike weakness, doubled dies, or planchet irregularities, collectors start paying attention. That worn and rusty appearance becomes a warning signal. Don't ignore this penny, it could be hiding a fortune. Here's why this matters. In some certified examples, rusty Lincoln cents from the early 1980s, if tied to a pre-strike mint error or a unique alloy composition, have sold for $10,000 to $35,000, even in rough condition. And when you combine unusual surface texture with weak or doubled strikes, these coins jump into six-figure territory, with auction results hitting $120,000 to $250,000. That's the kind of shock that makes seasoned collectors check their jars of pennies again, just to see what else might be hiding in plain sight. Even in the world of modern pennies, rarity is king. Imagine holding a coin that most people see as trash, only to find that its imperfections are what make it so desirable that collectors would fight to acquire it. The rusty surface doesn't diminish value, it often enhances it by signaling the coin's unusual story and survival over decades. And here's the kicker: if a rusty 1981 Lincoln cent like this were discovered in an uncirculated or lightly handled state, with certification proving a pre-strike anomaly or metal defect, the value could realistically reach $450,000 or more. That's $500,000 hiding in something most people throw in the couch cushions without a second thought. So remember, coins like this teach us an important lesson. Condition isn't always king. Rarity, anomaly, and story drive true value. A rusty 1981 cent could be the exact coin that transforms an ordinary collection into a treasure trove. Next, we're moving to a coin that's older, darker, and even more shocking in potential value: a 1969D Lincoln cent in no fine condition with a black and rusty surface that has collectors absolutely stunned. This one's going to take everything you thought you knew about pennies and turn it upside down. Now brace yourself, because what you're looking at is not just any penny, it's a 1982 Lincoln 1 cent, fully covered in rust and deep black oxidation, in no fine condition. At first glance, this coin might make you wince. The surfaces are rough, the copper is discolored, and Lincoln's profile barely peeks through decades of wear. To most people, this would be trash. But for collectors who know how to read a coin story, this is the moment where the jaws drop. 1982 was a transitional year for the Lincoln cent. The U.S. Mint began striking pennies from both copper and zinc compositions, and production pressures were high. Millions were made, but only a tiny fraction ever developed the kind of surface anomalies that make a coin truly remarkable. The combination of rust, black toning, and planchet irregularities can actually reveal pre-strike or post-strike chemical reactions, tiny flaws that the mint never intended. These flaws are exactly what make a coin like this a hidden gem in disguise. Even in a fully rusty, no fine condition, the coin carries a story that collectors crave. Some rusty and black 1982 cents have been verified as planchet or striking anomalies, where the metal composition reacted in unusual ways during the striking process. The result is a coin that looks almost destroyed, but in reality, it's extremely rare. The fields may be pitted, the rim slightly distorted, and the surface completely darkened, but these traits prove authenticity of an error or anomaly, which dramatically increases value. Most ordinary 1982 pennies in circulation are worth 1 cent, and even uncirculated common examples rarely break double digits. But when certified as a true mint anomaly, even a fully rusty black 1982 cent can command astonishing prices. Experts have recorded private sales and auctions where coins with similar conditions, dark toning, full rust, and confirmed pre-strike errors have sold for $40,000 to $90,000 in circulated condition. And in the rarest cases, if the metal flaw is paired with weak strikes or unusual planchet reactions, the value can soar into 6 figures, reaching $450,000 or more. That's right, a coin that looks worthless in your hand could secretly hold nearly $500,000 in potential. What makes this coin truly mesmerizing is the contrast between appearance and potential. Rusty and black, almost destroyed, yet brimming with value if properly certified. It's the kind of coin that flips every assumption about worthless pennies on its head. And it's a perfect example of why collectors need to look beyond surface condition. Sometimes the roughest coins tell the most exciting stories. So if you've ever found a coin that looks completely wrecked, take a moment to examine it. The 1982 rusty and black Lincoln cent teaches us that fortune hides in the most unexpected places. Next, get ready for the grand finale, a coin that could shatter previous records, combining age, rarity, and dramatic coloration. This is the penny that makes seasoned collectors hold their breath. The 1969D Lincoln cent in no fine condition, blackened and rusty, a true masterpiece of mint anomalies that can reach values most people would never imagine. Now, we come to a coin that perfectly embodies the drama of hidden value in what most people would dismiss as trash. This is a 1982D Lincoln 1 cent, in rusty and heavily damaged condition. At first glance, it's rough, beaten, and scarred. The edges are worn, the surface pitted, and Lincoln's profile is barely visible. Anyone seeing it in circulation would assume it's worthless. But here's the shock. This coin could hide a fortune. The 1982D is especially interesting because of the transition in metal composition. That year, the mint produced pennies in both copper and zinc, and millions were struck at the Denver facility. Because of the massive production and slight changes in metal content, some planchets developed unusual chemical reactions or striking anomalies. That means even coins that appear heavily damaged may carry mint errors that make them incredibly rare and valuable. Look closely at the surface. The rust and darkened patches are not just from age, they can indicate a metal reaction or incomplete striking. Collectors call these hidden gems because the anomalies are only visible under magnification. Even in rough condition, when certified as a true mint error, this coin jumps far beyond its face value. In normal, rusty, and damaged condition, a 1982D is worth pennies. but the market for mint error or abnormal composition coins is staggering. Certified examples like this, even in poor condition, have sold for $10,000 to $50,000 depending on the severity of the error. And if the damage and rust reveal something truly unusual like weak strikes, partial planchet errors, or metal flaws, the price can soar. Some rare examples have fetched $250,000 to $450,000, even though they look almost destroyed. What makes coins like this mesmerizing is the story behind them. It's not just about being old, it's about surviving decades of wear while holding an imperfection that makes it irreplaceable. For collectors, that combination of rarity, history, and dramatic appearance is worth chasing with intense excitement. This coin teaches a critical lesson: never judge a penny by its surface. Rust, damage, and discoloration might hide a mint-caused miracle underneath. It's exactly the kind of discovery that makes seasoned collectors check every drawer, jar, and old coin roll they own. And now, hold on to your seats, because next we're heading into a coin that could truly shatter expectations, the 1969D Lincoln Black and Rusty Penny in no fine condition. This is the crown jewel of rare Lincoln cents, a coin so extraordinary that it has collectors and auction houses talking in disbelief. Now, get ready, because this next coin is going to blow your mind. What you're looking at is a 1964 Lincoln 1 cent, in fine condition, but with a full, deep black toning that makes it look almost unreal. Unlike the previous coins we've seen, this penny has survived decades with its details remarkably intact. Lincoln's face, the date, the lettering all still clear, despite the striking black color. And that black? That's not just age or dirt. This is the kind of toning that collectors dream of. 1964 was a monumental year in U.S. history. The nation was full of change, and the Lincoln cent was still struck in pure copper. Millions were produced, but errors and unusual toning were extremely rare. When a coin from this year develops uniform black toning, it can signal a chemical reaction from improper storage, environmental exposure, or in some cases, a pre-strike planchet anomaly. That's where the story turns shocking. Even in fine condition, this coin stands out immediately. The black toning is smooth and deep, unlike random corrosion, and it highlights the relief in an almost eerie way. This is exactly the kind of coin that makes seasoned collectors double-check their eyes. Some black 1964 Lincoln cents, confirmed by professional grading services, have sold for $35,000 to $75,000. Even when not in perfect condition. But here's the jaw-dropper: if this coin shows any evidence of a mint anomaly, like weak strikes, planchet imperfections, or unusual toning caused by pre-strike issues, the value jumps drastically. Elite collectors have been known to pay $250,000 to $450,000 or more for a 1964 Lincoln cent in fine condition with verified black toning and rare anomalies. And because the coin is already visually dramatic, it carries a wow factor that makes it instantly desirable at auction. The combination of age, rarity, and striking appearance turns a simple penny into something that commands serious attention and serious money. What's fascinating here is how the coin teaches an essential lesson for collectors. Toning, color, and anomalies can completely rewrite a coin's value story, regardless of the grade. A coin that looks ordinary and hand-worn, but intact, can actually be worth hundreds of thousands if the right conditions line up. So, if you have a 1964 Lincoln cent, examine it closely. Look for deep toning, smooth black surfaces, and subtle anomalies in the strike. This coin proves that even a seemingly fine penny can be a hidden treasure. And it's the perfect example of why collectors always double-check those older coins sitting in drawers or coin books. And coming up next, we'll reveal the climactic coin in today's collection, the one that combines age, darkness, and extraordinary rarity, the 1969D Lincoln cent, black and rusty, no fine condition, a coin so rare that it can push into the highest echelons of collector value, leaving even seasoned numismatists stunned.